Please give a big round of applause for Michele Oberholtzer. Come on up, Michele.
Hello. When I moved to Detroit, I decided to turn myself into a writer. And the beautiful thing about being a writer is that all you have to do is to write, and then you are it. Which is great for me because I studied engineering, and that's like the best way to get through college without writing a word. So I was trying to turn myself into a writer, and it wasn't going so well in financial sense, so this past fall I took a job working for a company that was going to have me doing property surveys of properties in Detroit that were going into tax foreclosure. And for me it was like a great way to see the city, to see the front lines of this interesting issue, and I knew I'm going to make some money and I'm going to have something to write about. And the deal with tax foreclosure in Detroit is if you get behind in your taxes, the city will foreclose, and then you can buy it back for $500. That's what I knew. And we had a little tablet, like an iPad, and they would send us out, and on the thing is a map, and it's filled with red squares, and all the red ones are the ones that I need to survey. And there are a lot of them because there's a lot of foreclosures in Detroit. So there I am on my bike up and down the streets, taking a picture and marking down the information about the building. Or not a building. Actually, a lot of them had nothing on them. They're vacant land, grown over, hardly a whisper of the house that had been there before, except for maybe some concrete that's grown over, and then you know, oh, there maybe was a sidewalk or a driveway here. And those were kind of strange, but nothing too heavy. And then there were the abandoned houses, quite a few of those actually, that had broken windows and signs of lives that had been lived there once, maybe not so long ago. Often they had signs of fire damage, and there would be tires dumped there, and those were pretty sad. So it was really nice to see all the beautiful homes, and I was proud as a Detroiter that we have still so many beautiful neighborhoods. You hear so much bad stuff about Detroit in the news, and no, there's so much going on here, and I just love to see the gardens and the way they painted their houses and the little kids' toys out in the front yard. And I would take my pictures of those and answer the questions. And the thing about those houses, though, is that people live in them, and when they see a white girl with a piece of technology, like entering information, they're like, what's going on? So they would talk to me. And I was glad that they did, because I started to learn what they knew, and they knew what I knew. They would ask me, are you buying my house? No, 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 I'm just doing this because your property's in foreclosure. And time after time, I mean, they would just regard me with shock. I'm literally delivering this news to many people for the first time, and I'm a girl on a bike. I don't have the tools to help you through this, and I would answer the questions as best I could, which was not very well. And it was really weighing down on me, so I would go home at night and look it up online and try to find the inevitable questions that I'd have to answer the next day, and I would learn a little bit more. And it got to the point, now I'm giving them my phone number and email address and the website and like trying to do something about it. But it got to a point where I knew it wasn't enough, and of course I couldn't make a difference for most of these people, but I thought maybe I can make a difference for some. And there was one day I was biking away from this last home that something about it just was the straw that broke my back, and there was a word echoing in my head, and it was radicalized. And I didn't choose the word, but that's the one that was echoing in my head. And it doesn't mean like I'm going to join Che Guevara in the trenches or anything, but what it meant was I can no longer just talk about this. I can no longer just write about this. I'm going to have to do something. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I started a fundraiser and was able to raise enough money to give $500 to 11 different families, the starting bid on their houses. Yeah, it was pretty great. And the way that I chose the families that would receive the money was based on one criteria, which is that they had a tricycle in the front yard. Because those were the homes that, to me, I thought, if we can save these homes that are not just houses but homes, and not just homes, but the homes of young children, then maybe this community will have a chance. And the auction came. It happens all online. A lot of the people I was working with, they don't have internet access, and so I was often the one delivering the news, and it was horribly nerve-wracking and exciting. And I was calling people up and telling grown men, you own that house that you paid a 20-year mortgage on, it's yours again. And they cried. And I told someone else, you got this house, they had been renting it, now they're first-time homeowners, and they cried, and they called me an angel. And I felt like I have done something bigger than anything I'd ever done in my life, and it wasn't the hardest thing. But it didn't work every time. 3 of the houses actually got outbid. And that's something that we always knew was a threat, like maybe there's someone sitting on a pile of money in New York or China, and they're like, hey, I hear Detroit's coming back, click, 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 and not knowing that they're changing the future forever for the people who live in those houses. And one of the women who lost her house was Miss Ruth, and I had to wait till I stopped crying to call Ruth. I was so afraid to tell her. And she picked up the phone, she said, tell me some good news. And I said, I can't. We lost your house. And she paused and she said, well, I guess that means I won't be needing that money. Is there another family that could use that $500? And I said, yes, of course. Of course, there's so many more people. And basically, in the moment that she found out that she was losing her home, she also became one of the biggest donors. And it was so moving, her grace in handling that situation. And it is proof to me that just like those blighted buildings can bring down the whole block, so too can one strong person bring up the whole community. And it's why I want to be working on this issue, and I want to be more like Miss Ruth. And it's why, in addition to being a writer, I'm also now an activist. Because all you have to do to be an activist is to take action.
Michele Oberholtzer, give her a big round of applause. Whoa, 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 no. All right, judges, I want you to deliberate on scores for Michele, and I just thought maybe it'd be fun to get a little interesting fact about you as a person.
A fact about me?
Yeah, something like, okay, tell us about your hiking passion. She hikes a lot, and like winters, like goes out in the woods, and like this horrible weather will do that.
I was telling Alex that I tried to start the Detroit Ladies Mountaineering Club, which would involve no mountains and not just ladies, but that hasn't really taken off so much.
You, my friend, are a delight. All right, Michele, give her a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was great. Now that's starting off a show.